Good evening, I'm Eric Franke. It is the video that has dominated headlines and social media. Elevator cameras showing football star Ray Rice apparently hitting his then-fiance and knocking her out. Tonight, the head coach of Rice's team, the Ravens, addresses that video and Ray Rice's dismissal.
When someone that you care about does wrong, you know, and is faced with the consequences of doing wrong, and rightfully so, it is tough. It is hurtful. It seemed like they really were working hard and they were really doing well in that direction, and I hope they can weather this part of it too.
When the domestic abuse allegations surfaced a few months ago, the NFL suspended Rice for just 2 games. Since this video came out this morning, the Ravens cut Rice from the team. The NFL suspended him indefinitely. News 3's Matthew Simon tells us a local expert says this video is a powerful example of how domestic violence can happen to anyone, Matthew.
Eric, anyone from all backgrounds, from Rice's wife to battered women and men who seek help from Dane County's Domestic Abuse Intervention Services. DAiS Executive Director says we all know someone domestic violence directly impacts. And this video shows exactly why it's critical for all of us, not just victims, to know how to get help.
Not just a punch, but a punch to the point where someone was thrown into a wall and knocked out. It was just so profound to me that it was just so violent.
Actually seeing Ray Rice apparently hit his wife on Valentine's Day weekend, DAiS Executive Director Shannon Berry says was horrifying. And as she thinks back to the events leading up to his Ravens firing and NFL suspension, says it can give all of us a glimpse into a batterer's psychology.
During that press conference, sort of portrayed himself as the victim.
Thank you for teaching me what it is to be a man.
That she was almost like an equal party in it.
I do deeply regret the role that I played in the incident that night.
And then when you see the video, it's very clear that there was an assailant and there was a victim.
Despite that, previously published video outside the Atlantic City elevator only showed the moments after Rice apparently hit Palmer, resulting in a 2-game suspension. It was not until the new video emerged nearly 7 months later when the Ravens fired him.
Ideally, it should have happened much more quickly, and I think it would have sent a stronger message.
Berry says the message many victims may take away from that is they'll need solid proof before they can get help.
Sadly, it could reinforce a lot of what victims already believe about not being believed.
Of the many domestic violence victims often on Berry's mind, she can never forget Tyrone Adair killing his children and their mothers. Especially when these high-profile cases make news, DAiS call volume actually drops.
Oftentimes, other batterers will use those cases to threaten their victims, and we see that especially with homicides. You know, saying things like, look, this could happen to you.
So this does not happen more. Berry says we must all know how to get all those victims we know help.
I think it's always, you know, getting that word out that there's help available to folks.
So now, not just for the victims, but if you know a victim, DAiS offers the only domestic violence shelter in Dane County. They have support groups, crisis intervention, and advocacy services. They can also get you help for your loved one. Their 24-hour helpline is 608-251-4445.
And Matthew, the NFL took a lot of heat over the early suspension, which was so small, 2 games. And we heard in the story about victims maybe afraid to step forward because they think maybe they'll need video like that to prove their point.
Exactly, and so we talk about Wisconsin's law. DAiS Executive Director says victims should take comfort in the law here, the domestic violence law. It requires a mandatory arrest if certain criteria, including probable cause, are met in suspected domestic violence situations. They hope that gives some ease, that they'll get more victims to come in and more of us calling.
Yeah, don't be afraid to step forward. A disturbing case, disturbing video. Matthew, thank you very much.